Cross. I am Vicar Leeper, and Pastor Wright and I are pleased to bring you a new devotional Bible study on the use of fire in the Bible. Over the next few weeks, Pastor Wright and I will be discussing the use of fire in the Bible and how it shows God interacting with his creation and with us in unique and interesting ways. We hope that you'll join us on this journey as we get to examine this new and interesting aspect of how God communicates and interacts with us, his people, through fire.
So the first thing we're going to do for the first half of our video today is we're going to talk about how fire is used in the Bible. Vicar, how is fire used in the Bible?
Well, fire is used a couple different ways, and in this study, which is going to last several weeks, we're going to look at God's relationship to fire and God's people's relationship to fire. Now, when fire is brought up in the Bible, it usually has one of two main purposes, though there are a few others.
Yes.
And those two main purposes are as judgment or as something that is being purified or made holy. These two overlap some too.
Yeah.
And there is kind of a third one, which is fire as guiding. But those are the main two things to watch for as we study the use of fire in the Bible and fire's relationship to God.
So our first example of God using fire is all the way in Genesis chapter 3. So we have the creation of all the world. We have the creation of Adam and Eve. And then chapter 3, we have the serpent who comes into the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve are deceived, they sin, and then God casts them out of the Garden of Eden. But he doesn't just say, leave, and then assumes that they're going to now suddenly obey all his commands. He sets something at the gate. And in Genesis chapter 3, the last verse of the chapter, he drove out the man, and at the east of the Garden of Eden, he placed the cherubim, which is an angel, and a flaming sword that turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. So Adam and Eve have been cast out, and they're looking at the Garden of Eden, and they had everything that they ever needed, wanted, or desired. Now think about this. The trees, the plants, everything just bloomed, just produced fruit, and all they really had to do was hold their hand out and take. It was right there for them. Now they've been cast out into the wilderness, so to speak, and they now have to plant. They have to water, they have to prune, they have to make sure that the plants are taken care of so that they can be taken care of. So they're looking at the Garden of Eden and saying, oh, if we just could go back there, life would have been great. But you have the tree of life, which God says, no, this gift is taken away from you because you did not listen. You broke and rebelled against my commands. And so you cannot partake of all the trees, of the luxury, the gift of life that was sustained and given in the garden. So this sword, and I love what the Bible says, went every which way. It didn't just go back and forth to guard the gate, but it blocked any and every way. So there was no way to sneak around it. There's no way to time it so you could jump through. It blocked it completely.
Well, and there's also a cherubim, an angel attached to this sword too. This Garden of Eden was where God had placed his first people, Adam and Eve, after he had created the world. This perfect place that they had been given, and now they are barred from it. Now they are prevented from entering it by the flaming sword. This is the first instance of fire in the Bible, and this is where we start our study of it. This flaming sword that prevents Adam and Eve from entering into this holy, perfect Garden of Eden that God gave to them. So, after watching that video, here are my questions for you. Which use of fire do you think the flaming sword in the garden is?
Do you think it's fire as judgment or fire as purifying and making holy? Let us know in the comments which one you think it is and why. We'd love to engage with you and talk with you as we go through this devotional Bible study together. We hope to see you again next week when we talk about Moses and the burning bush.